Excellent. And ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Thrashers Paradise. Today we are joined with a very special guest, someone, it didn't even click in my mind that was returning. We are joined with Sean, who is not only the lead singer to X-Pain, though they did release an EP last year, which was very excellent.
Thanks.
But we're here to talk about his other project, the Hallowed Catharsis, a progressive metal band from the Vancouver area, who, as most recently, released a single last year called I'm going to mess this up badly. The Gaia Explosion?
So close, man. It's the Gaia Expulsion.
The Gaia Expulsion. Now, you guys have done a lot in recent years. From 2014 to 2019, you have two EPs, an album, and that single.
Yep.
So I think the thing I respect about the band is that you guys are consistent with releasing stuff.
Thanks.
Oh, you're welcome. Now, as each album and EP comes and goes, does it get harder to come up with new material for the project, or does it become more easier as you know what you're writing about?
That's a good question. I feel like it gets easier, which is weird because the stuff that we're writing is getting harder. Like, it almost feels like when we were writing the first few, like the first EP, like the Uncanny Valley EP in 2013 or whatever, it was kind of like, I mean, we were super young. Like, I was 19, and it was like, we need to sound like this. You know, we love these bands, and we have to take a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and we have to be this. And with each release, it's kind of been less of that and more of, this is what we want to do, and this is what people seem to be down with, the experimenting that we want to do, and we're super grateful for that. So it's kind of at a point now where it's just kind of whatever we want to do. And whatever we want to do is sounding exactly how we want it to sound. I don't know if that really makes sense, but it's kind of like we don't have the pressure on our shoulders anymore of trying to be cool or trying to fit in. We already know we're weirdos, and we already know we're kind of like an outlier band in this whole tech prog death world scene. So we're kind of becoming more and more comfortable with who we are, what we're trying to do, what we want to do, and I think that's going to show a lot with the new album Coloner, which is coming out on June 2nd.
Wow. Coloner comes out June 2nd, as you just mentioned. Now, with this time going on, do you feel the album might get a bit more attention than usual?
Yeah, I think so. The first 3 releases, as well as the Gaia Expulsion single, we did completely DIY. So we were releasing that all by ourselves. All the promo we did in-house. It was completely run by us, and the help of, fans of the band sharing it and kind of word of mouth, as well as touring and playing shows. And we're super stoked to be working with an awesome label like Lacerated Enemy Records for our new album Coloner. It has been rad to join such a great team and kind of have that push behind us as well. So we're continuing to do our normal thing as we've always done and try and get our music out there, but it's been awesome to have Lacerated Enemy Records behind us, promoting the music, promoting even pre-orders rather for the album, and they have some sick merch on their Big Cartel and Bandcamp right now. It's been really cool, man. It feels great. Plus, we get to be, hopefully we can work out a tour when the world comes back together with all of the sick bands on that label, man.
Yeah, so compared to Solar Cremation, what makes Kilom? Now I can't say the name.
It's kind of like Kelowna, the city
Kilom.
of BC.
Okay,
It's kind of like Kelowna, but it's Kelowner.
Kiloner. Okay,
Yeah.
so from 2017's release, Solar Cremation, what makes Kilomer different?
Um, I think that it is a lot more focused. Solar Cremation was awesome for us because that was like the way I see it is that our first two EPs are kind of demos for the band, and Solar Cremation is when we really began. You know, the first two EPs, Uncanny Valley and Organic Entrenchment, were, or when I listen to them, they really sound like us trying to find out who we are and who we want to be. And I know some bands, you know, they take like years to really sharpen a few songs and release that. Whereas I feel like what we've done with THC is we've really kind of taken snapshots of each step along the way. Like we can really look back and be like, there's the EP1 era of the band, which had its own lineup. Then the EP2 era of the band, which had a different lineup. And then the Solar Cremation era of the band, which kind of really took full form and began this journey right now. So I guess to get to your question, I feel like Kelowner is a lot more precise. It's about half as long as Solar Cremation, but I feel like more ideas, a lot more fluidity, a lot more consistency in the music. And it's just fucking brutal. Like, you know, if Solar Cremation was THC experimenting with emotions and feelings and atmosphere, Kelowner is THC dancing with brutality and just raw, extreme, visceral music.
Awesome. Now, you guys are now compared to a lot of the Vancouver, BC based bands I have listened to, you guys sound nothing like the rest.
Oh, man.
But
Thank you so much. That's like the ultimate compliment.
oh, you're welcome, man. I loved it because I was listening to Solar Cremation earlier today, and it just sounded different, and I love that because it's so hard to find bands that just sound different from like other bands from the subgenre they're in, kind of, or even in the area they're from. So my question is, how hard was it for THC to kind of establish themselves as a band in the Vancouver area at the beginning?
I feel, I mean, I'm sure every band feels this way. It's not easy to take a band seriously or to be in a band trying to, you know, hit a professional status, I guess. But um, we have a lot of awesome friends and fans and supporters of the band here in BC. And we're starting to see that kind of reach outwards. But I feel like we've always been an outlier band. That's what I was gonna say. I think every band feels this way, but I feel like we've always been an outlier band where we weren't really brutal enough. Like we were too jazzy or whatever for like the brutal death metal guys, but we were too death metal-y for like a lot of the proggy metalcore bands, and we're too technical and guttural maybe for a lot of like the hardcore scene, but we're too punky for a lot of the tech death scene. I feel like every band feels that way, but I feel like it's really been through our live show that we've kind of convinced people to get on board. You know, I feel like it's in the live setting where we really get our message across. You know, uh,
Mm-hmm.
being in a band, it's like, it's business, it's social media savvy, it's promotion all the time, it's looking cool or whatever. And I feel like we're bad at almost all of that. But when it comes to being on stage, we just get along so well, especially with this current lineup that we have now. We kind of feel like this is the family. And this is so long-winded. I've been answering your question so long-windedly. But I guess ultimately, I feel like when I look back at early videos of the band playing live, I'm like, man, 5 years ago, like, we didn't have the greatest songs, but we were throwing down so hard live. And I feel like that's something that we still do to this day. So it's kind of like, maybe you don't like death metal, maybe you don't like guttural vocals, maybe you don't like blast beats. I still feel like you would have a blast at a THC show.
Awesome.
I think
now,
that more than anything is how we kind of broke into it. And then we were kind of like, also buy our CDs. Also buy our records.
Excellent. Now, speaking of shows, the last show you were supposed to have was actually supposed to be in London, Ontario, I believe, April 9th.
Yep.
How hard was that to have to cancel it?
It was devastating, man. It was heartbreaking. I have booked a majority, all of THC's tours, and I had a hand in booking in the booking process with X-Pain. And for whatever reason, this short April tour was the hardest time I've ever had booking a tour. Just kind of due to circumstance, like promoters were moving home, they were moving city, venues were shutting down, that support bands on tour were canceling. So it was just kind of like every time I'd finish booking, something would happen and I'd need to get back on it. Something would happen, I need to get back on it. This show would cancel, I'd need to redo it. And so I actually only fully finished booking that tour like 2 or 3 weeks before having to cancel the tour. So it was a really big bummer, but we're in untested territories here, So this is a new kind of experience for the world, for the music scene. So I mean, today is the 16th, so I think we'd be in like Drumheller or Calgary today on the way home on tour right now. And I mean, I have to say I'm glad. I'm feeling very lucky that we were able to cancel it before ever leaving home, as opposed to some bands who flew here from Germany, like Defeated Sanity, to be playing in Western North America, and to have their tour canceled and have to rebook flights, fly back home to Germany. I can't imagine how devastating that would be to a band to have to fly across the world, cancel it, fly back home. So I'm feeling very grateful, all things considered, to be in the situation we're in.
Yeah. To stay on the topic, when do you personally believe that we're going to start to have live shows again back in our lovely little country of ours?
I was just talking about that with the rest of the band yesterday, and I don't want to be a downer, but I don't really think it's going to happen until 2021. Like originally, as soon as the day after we canceled the tour, like March 28th or something like that, I was like, okay, we've committed to canceling, but I'm going to start rebooking right now. I'm going to rebook for July. And I thought about it. Okay, maybe July is too early. I know some of the venues we were going to play at were closing. So I thought, okay, let's do September. But I mean, it's a tough time. Like, I don't think anybody really knows when the world will be open again. And I don't think anybody can really predict what situation the venues are going to be in, which is they're kind of the unsung heroes. Like, we're in the band and we had to cancel our tour, sure, but we will eventually get to sell all of the T-shirts, the CDs. We will eventually get to drive the van, but it's the venues that rely on people coming in to, get a beer, to have dinner, to see a show. They're really, really suffering right now. So um, it'll be interesting to see when things open up again, and when they do, if people are even going to want to go be in a crowd. So we'll see, man. Yeah, we're yet to see, but we will be making our way back across Canada. We will be making our way back down to the U.S. And we'll be getting out there once we can. This is what's important to us.
Excellent. Now, what a lot of bands have been doing live Q&As, live concerts, or even just live streams just over social media, Twitch, Facebook, all that fancy jazzy stuff. Could we see the Hallowed Catharsis potentially maybe do a live stream Q&A, or just a live stream, or even a live stream concert?
Absolutely. At the moment, because we have a few immunocompromised people in the band, we aren't getting together in person at the moment. However, we have been looking into our back catalogs, and we found a few live videos from the solo Cremation release era, and we were toying with the idea of releasing those. We have a few playthrough videos in the works, but we were talking about doing a live video Q&A. I can't imagine too many people would be interested to hear what we have to say, but we were talking about it because, it's a hard time, and how do you stay relevant in a super flash of the blade social media day and age? We can't be playing shows, which is kind of our strong suit, I guess, and we are not all together in the jam space writing music right now, though we are working on the 5th album. So yeah, man, I think we're looking to do some sort of ask me anything kind of thing, if you will.
Awesome. Now, as we were talking before we started recording, you mentioned something about releasing the next Signal.
Yeah.
When can we expect that to be released?
Within the month.
Okay.
Yeah. So we put out a new single on March 24th. So a few weeks ago now, we put out our first single for the new album, Kill Owner, called Breeding Pits. I don't know if you've had a chance to see that yet or see the music video, but we are super proud to have that video out, and I feel like that song really demonstrates kind of the spirit of Kill Owner. We will have a new lyric video out through Lacerated Enemy, I want to say by the end of the month. I don't have an exact date yet. I know that the label has those secrets closely guarded. We are working to have a new video out by the end of this month.
Excellent. Now, when it comes to releasing a Signal,
Yeah.
Is it a hard choice to decide what Signal is going to be released from the album first?
Sometimes. It is because we write everything in THC live in the jam space. So from the very beginning of the songs being written to the end of the songs being completed, we're together live in the jam space. I know a lot of bands do this, and I think it's an amazing ability to have, but we don't send each other guitar profiles, stuff like that. Like, we just play the song live again and again, and until we're like, it's done. Like, we might play it and be like, oh, we could add this cool part. We should add this awesome riff, or maybe I can try a vocal thing. and we'll just keep updating the song until we're really confident that it's done. Because it's hard to ever really finish a song so much as walk away from it, you know? But I guess once you come to having an album finished and hearing the recorded process versus hearing it while you're playing it, it's like, damn, which of these is the best, you know? And which of these is something that we want to share with people who have supported us along the way, and which of these songs is going to make those people really feel like, hell yeah, I want to buy this album. Because with the way we write our songs, like, you know, we write stories and then we write our albums around the stories. So for Killoner and the new upcoming album and the Gaia Expulsion, our drummer Kevin has been writing these incredible sci-fi stories, like Kevin M's. The book will be coming, but he's been writing these incredible sci-fi stories, and once he writes them, we all read it and we're like, oh shit, and then write music about it, like, oh, this riff it's got to be when that shit's happening, you know? Or this super brutal pig squeal has to be at this moment of the story, you know? And that's kind of how the album gets put together. And that's what we've done ever since Solar Cremation, where it kind of started with our guitarist Kyle Baines being like, yo, Solar Cremation would be such a cool song title. I was like, it is a cool song title. Or an album title. And I wrote this story, this sci-fi nerdy story, and then again, our drummer Kevin took that story and made it 1,000,000 times cooler, and then we wrote the album about it, you know? And then the Gaia Expulsion takes place a few years before Solar Cremation, but in the same story. And Killoner takes place like 50,000 years before Solar Cremation. And the album that we're writing now, it takes place somewhere in that timeline as well. So, I kind of blabbed my way out of the question here, but I guess sci-fi till you die is what we're going for here.
Excellent. Now, this is more of a question for you. You are in two very popular Vancouver bands, not only the Hallowed Catharsis, but X-Pain. Is it hard to juggle both bands?
Yeah, man. It is a lot of work. But I kind of feel like juggling, like juggling both of those bands, I kind of feel like fulfills my dream, you know? I'll try not to go on a long tangent here again, but I grew up in Southeast Asia. So I grew up in like China and Indonesia and in Singapore, all these countries where there didn't really exist a metal scene 20 years ago when I lived there. And so I kind of grew up like absorbing everything on Metal Sucks and Metal Injection when I was like 10 years old, and being like, oh, I love metal. You know, I just want to play in a band. And I was a drummer. I used to drum and practice super hard back then. And none of my friends were into metal. Nobody I knew. You know, people liked Slipknot, Bring Me the Horizon, which are awesome bands, but there wasn't really anything deeper than that. You know, people like Metallica. And so when I graduated from high school, I was like, I'm going to Canada. I'm going to fucking play music. And here I am, you know, feeling super lucky. So I feel kind of like it is a lot of work. When both bands are fully active, I'm at 5 minimum jam practices a week. So it is a lot of, it is a lot of work, but I feel like, what the fuck else am I going to be doing if I'm not shredding a mic or whatever, I feel very, very lucky to be in the situation I'm in, playing with such amazing musicians and songwriters.
Awesome. Now, one last question for you. It's more of a fun question I'm going to ask you.
Awesome.
So a lot of bands now in 2020, besides being laid off due to quarantine, have been coming out with alcoholic beverages. Some have been doing rum, some have been doing wine, but the majority of them have been coming out with a line of beer. Now, if Hallowed Catharsis was to come out with a beer, what kind of beer would it be, and what would be the name of it?
Oh man, I so wish our drummer was here for this question. So our drummer, he's actually a brewmaster. He actually makes beer for a living, and he's the brewmaster of Granville Island Brewery here. But he would dominate this question. But I will do my best. Kevin, this is for you. I'll do my best. I feel like if THC was to put out a beer, it would I don't even know. We have the latest single we put out is called Breeding Pits, and we were joking as a band about making a beer called Brewing Pits that Kevin could make. But as far as what kind of beer, like maybe like a Belgian triple.
Okay.
Or something. I mean, Kevin makes an insanely mean Belgian triple and a Belgian quad, so maybe something like that. I have, obviously, so our band is called THC, and originally, that's how it started. Like, what band? I'm too cool. I wasn't there for this conversation, but it was like, what can we call our band? We want to be called THC. And then they came up with the Hallowed Catharsis. So it's kind of started off as a weed joke in a weird way. And I've always wanted to make a strain of indica called Jabberwocky.
Jabberwocky?
Yeah, I've always wanted to make a strain of weed called Jabberwocky. But, we'll get there, man. What do you think? What do you think we should call our beer?
I was actually, the name you gave was the name I was thinking.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of perfect for it. So maybe we'll have to maybe I'll have to give Kevin a call after this and put some pressure on him.
Yeah. Of course.
That's really funny. That's really funny.
Well, Sean, thank you for taking time out of your extremely high demanding and busy schedule during these extremely busy times to come on.
Yeah, you're right, man. It's almost 4:00, and I've got a scheduled appointment with the couch at 4. And 5:00, I've got a meeting with the oven to bake some chicken.
Oh.
And then by 6, I've got a scheduled appointment with the TV. So, I'm glad we could make it work.
I know. Thank you so much. Is there anything you'd like to say to the people watching this?
Yeah. I'm grateful. We're all super grateful to be here. We're all super grateful for anybody who's watching this. And, check out Lacerated Enemies Bandcamp page. Check out the Big Cartel page. We've got a bunch of exclusive merch being sold for pre-orders right now. Killoner. It's coming June 2nd. It has what I think are best put together songs and our most inspired music so far. I think, we're still learning every step of the way. We're still growing. So I'm excited to be able to grow with everybody who is interested or cares about what we're doing. And, wash your hands. Stay safe. take this time to do everything you ever wanted to do. Learn something cool, learn to paint, learn to sing, and hit us up, send us a message. I love talking to everybody.
Awesome. Well, Sean, thank you again so much for coming on Thrashers Paradise today. And until next time, keep on thrashing.
Keep on thrashing, Colin. Thanks so much for having me.
Anytime, man.
The apex fence with a leash and a whip. Trouble with them down to the breathing. Yeah!